Kate, why don't you tell us a bit about your role with the University of Michigan?
So, hi, Rod. Yeah, thank you. My name is Kate Fitzgerald, and I'm a child and adolescent psychiatrist. I work at the University of Michigan studying and treating kids who have anxiety or obsessive compulsive disorder. I also serve there as the academic director of child and adolescent psychiatry, which means helping to foster research in our department so we can make better treatments to help more kids feel better and overcome problems like anxiety.
Thanks, Kate. How about you, Molly? What do you do over at Michigan Medicine?
Yeah, hi Rod. Thanks so much for having us. So I'm a clinical social worker by training, and recently I had the opportunity to join Kate's teams and manage some of her research projects. So I see kids and families for therapy a couple days a week, and then I work on her research projects the other few days a week, which has been really exciting to kind of combine clinical, what we see on a daily basis, with bigger picture ideas and how we can reach more kids and families.
Molly, I'm an adult. I've spent 40 years in this world, and I just keep learning more and more about myself
Mhm.
and what drains me from a mental perspective. But how can parents and guardians identify some of the mental health challenges that their kids may be going through?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think the biggest indication we want to look for is a change, right, from their normal functioning. So a lot of challenges kids go through are really normal, right? And kids are growing and they need more sleep. Kids are struggling with, as adults are too, with different feelings and different moods. But if we're noticing a pattern over time and we're noticing, wow, it's been a few days, it's been a few weeks, and my kiddo is really struggling. They're sleeping too much. They're not sleeping enough. They're not eating. We haven't been communicating. This feels different. Something feels off. And how do I help with that? Yeah, how do I ask questions and say, what's going on? And I'm here for you, right? And not pressuring and not forcing kids to talk. That never works. But saying, I'm here for you and I'm worried about you. I see some of these things going on, and let me know when you're ready to talk about it.
I remember the first time my father told me he loved me, and
Mm,
he was older. I was probably in my mid to late 20s. It probably wasn't the first time, but it was the first time as an adult that
mm,
I heard that, which gets you thinking about the stigma of sharing emotions, and especially when it comes to mental health. Kate, what are the types of stigma that people face when we think of mental health?
Well, I think a lot of people are really quite afraid that if they're struggling, they're the only one.
mm,
And it's frightening to kind of admit that to oneself, let alone someone else. And then, of course, that makes it very hard to seek help. So I think the good news is that there really is help available if you're struggling. There are, treatments that we know from research studies, for example, that really do work. And sometimes even just talking to somebody and sharing, you feel, whether it's your mom, your dad, or a close friend, you can feel better already. So, again, my hope is that in some ways the pandemic provides an opportunity, especially with regard to stigma around mental health, because we're all suffering right now
mhm.
in one way or another. This has been stressful in ways that none of us could have predicted. And so, kind of lowering that bar to say, this is normal. Like even pre pandemic, I'll just share a statistic, as many as 30% of youth by the time they reach teenage years will have anxiety that's a quote disorder that is
Mm.
getting in the way. I think with what we're seeing now with the pandemic is those rates are even on the
Mm,
rise.
have to be
So it's
higher.
just
Yeah.
that common. And you're not alone, I think
Hmm.
is the
Hmm.
most important message. So reach out and talk.
Well, I'm surprised that the pandemic hasn't created a virtual hug system like Venmo where you send money. Well, somebody's got to be creating an app out there because you're right. Um, we all are living through this together,
Hmm.
and our bigs, when we train them, our team puts them together and gives them these resources and connects them with community partners. Our goal is to help them identify these and work with our littles. But Molly, what can we
Hmm.
do to support people dealing with mental health issues?
Absolutely. I mean, I think the number one thing we do is validate, right? Is the I see you, I hear you, especially if people come to us and they're struggling, or even if we just know them really well and we notice something is off and something is different. But I think it's easy, especially when young people come home and say, here's what's going on at school. We want to fix it. We want to make it better. We want to sometimes even minimize it. Oh, you'll be fine, right? We so often say that. And what we all need, and particularly what kids need, is to feel seen and heard, right? So validating what and listening and what people are actually saying and what their behavior is communicating with us. And I think that that's, that's certainly the best step. And then the next is like, how can we problem solve this together, right? As Kate was saying, you're not alone and I'm here for you. And I do think about big brothers and big sisters as doing that. That's the best opportunity for them. They get it and they can say to the littles, I'm here for you. How can we problem solve this together?